We are back. Mood is 11 out of 10 right now, going into the 29th episode of the Irrelevant Podcast. Today I'm your host, Will, and I'm joined once again by Jason. How you doing, man?
Mood 8 out of 10.
That's still really good. Not
I'm a
11,
little bit
but
sick, so I'm gonna be cutting the mic on and off so I don't cough into oblivion.
fuck, man. Okay. So I'm just gonna be talking, like a motherfucker, and then you're just gonna be like, okay,
No, I'll
Will.
I'll try my best not to talk and cough at the same time. I'm just going to turn it off
Oh
when I
yeah.
have to cough.
Well, okay. I remember we had that podcast. I forgot which one it was recently, where like I was really not feeling well.
Yes, I'm trying to avoid what you did, is what I'm saying.
I guess we both deserve it. So you're getting your treatment of it. So
We'll see.
when I answered Jason's Discord call, I answered him with, "Welcome, my friend." Which I was gonna ask you, like, it was this TikTok or something. It's like when Hollywood films a movie, like is filming a movie and it's set in like a Middle Eastern country or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And it just has the guitar and it's like "Bow, bow, 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 bow." It's like random shots of camels just eating, women with like fabric against their face, and then like this woman like "Ah, yeah, yeah." And then
Yeah, then I think I saw that same thing. There was
yeah,
another one where it's like you could see the heat waves from the sand.
yeah, or it's like random
That's
colors or
stupid.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
the best one was like the random guide character. Welcome, my friend. That is like
The
so
gift
true.
shop is at the end of the mirage.
Yeah, the Mirage. Or have you seen the one where it's like when they go to a foreign country in a Hollywood movie and it's like, "Hello," it's like agent whatever. Where's the artifact? It's like, no. First, we need to go to like or it's like speaks to local in side talk in a random foreign language, and it's like, no. First, I must bring you to this room and we talk about the artifact, and it's like we have to go through a bustling marketplace and go through a door which is just a bunch of beads and sit down and just these chairs that aren't really chairs but or something like that.
And the room is perfectly lit, so you can see
Yeah,
everything.
exactly. And there's jewels everywhere and yeah.
Oh, I miss all those old movies, man.
Dude, remember? I think you said it was like when we watched Sin Nombre with like all the ads in the beginning. You were like, "Dude, the 2000s," or like you said it was like a DMT trip or something.
It feels like
It's,
another lifetime ago,
I
even though it wasn't. I
know. It's
guess,
like, what the
yeah.
hell happened, man? Like,
I think because they're just so absurd that when you watch it, it just feels like this is not in my lifetime.
right? And it's like the like when you're just looking at that, whether it's like the 80s, the 90s, or the 70s, you were just like, that's like what we thought was cool. What the hell, you know?
Yeah, I always attribute that time to. I mean, obviously every decade has its era of misinformation, but I think it's like where they put the most bullshit in the food, like. Heinz is coming out with purple and green condiments and shit, and then
Yeah.
Domino's wasn't using real cheese, so
That was like that was like when corporate America was at its like super height, I think.
yeah,
And
this
then
is back when
like right before the crash, you know.
This was back. Obviously, this still happens to this day, but people paying off the FDA to get their bullshit products in this
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
You just ate the most entire garbage catalog of products you could think of back in that day. No one gave a shit, especially all the toys and all the like. I swear, every plastic toy had some like greasy, cancerous filament on it. It's just like, what the
Yeah.
fuck is this?
I know that's so weird to think about now when you're older like fuck, man. How much did that affect with my testosterone when I was a little kid?
My sperm cell is just two.
Yeah. I remember my friend told me he said once you win any debate, just tell the person they have a low sperm count.
You eat a blue chew, bro. You feel a little bit down.
Right. Um, so speaking of the 2000s era, specifically the early 2000s, I recommended to Jason some shit that no one really knows about. Very few people who I talk to in like the everyday conversation and like my day-to-day life know what it is. And like when I explain to them what it is, they think they know what it is, but then I have to correct them because they don't actually know what it is. Or and the ones who do know what it is, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's fine." And I'm like, that's it." So I recommended to Jason the 2004 micro series Star Wars Clone Wars, written and directed. Well, actually, I don't know if it's written, but it is directed by Genndy Tartakovsky, the creator of Samurai Jack, other Cartoon Network shows like Dexter's Laboratory. He did a lot of the directing on. He was not the creator, but he directed many of the episodes of Powerpuff Girls. He also did things like Hotel Transylvania, which I have not seen. I've heard mixed things about it, but he has a really fantastic track record. Oh, he also did obviously the fifth and final season of Samurai Jack from 2017, which was badass. He also did Primal, which came out in 2019, I believe, and is still going. That show is fucking awesome. Yeah, he knows his shit. He has a great track record, and they gave him the reins. Yeah, like do you know anything about the background of this? Is what I want to know.
Not really. I thought we were watching something different. I remember when I was a kid, the all the commercials were for the 3D animated Clone Wars
Right,
version.
right. So yeah, because like when I say that, everyone thinks that that's what I'm talking about. I'm like, no. And I hate to say this to the Star Wars fanboys, like that show is not really that good. Like the people act like that show is like one of the greatest fucking shows to ever air on television. It
Ooh, you're jiggling some chins right now.
it just isn't. Like I'm sorry, like guys, it's fine. Like it's fine. It doesn't really go past that. It's like just because it is slightly better than what you got in the prequel movies doesn't mean that it's somehow this like fantastic. It's like it's the same shit with the Mandalorian, where it's like it's just this average fucking Western thing, or the Clone Wars. It's just this average like kid sci-fi fantasy thing, and it's like without the context of the Star Wars universe, these are just generic characters that have like no fucking personality. Like seriously. And I mean that 100%. I don't give a shit if this person has a they corrected the and I'm like, okay, what the fuck did they need? Who cares if they corrected it? It sucked to begin with. So like what? So it's not even like the same character. I don't know. I have so many complaints about that show, but I guess instead of doing that and being pessimistic, I'll be praising of this one. So this is the sorry. So this is the 2004 hand fucking drawn with all their creative heart and soul, hand drawn Clone Wars animated series. So Genndy was hired by Cartoon Network and Lucasfilm, I believe, whoever it was, because they wanted to sell Hasbro toys, right? Because they were like, damn it, kids aren't buying toys. We need to get Star Wars out to like not exclusively children, but we need to kind of play more to that younger kiddie audience that'll make them want to buy kids. So how do we do this? Okay, we'll make a Star Wars animated show, right? And so they're like, who do we get? You know, like it's cool to see this now. No, like because I work for like a painting contractor, so I can see how people like review their options. Like, what are the contractors in the area and stuff like that. It's like so. It's like, who are the options we have from Cartoon Network to pick from? Genndy Tartakovsky, he's making the Samurai Jack show. That's doing good. People like it. Let's try him. So he essentially made a Star Wars show in the style, more or less, of his other shows, like Samurai Jack, and to a lesser extent, Dexter's Laboratory. I don't know if you're familiar with those two shows.
Yeah, and I was about to say, I mean, obviously the animation style is kind of similar, a
Right.
little bit more freeform, I think. But what I noticed was the Samurai Jack had that very serious undertone to it, and
Right.
also like
Right.
just like with it seems like they really wanted to give it respect to the storytelling as opposed to just making a cartoon for kids. But obviously, the Clone Wars had some subtle, lighthearted moments that were supposed to be funny, but
Yeah.
the overall theme was very serious, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, it's almost like a war movie. It's really cool. Like there's so many different things about the show that I keep discovering that I'm just like, how the fuck is this so good? It baffles me that a show that was designed to just literally sell toys to children, they put this much effort into it, and and it came out so well. I mean, I don't know, like, what did you think?
Yeah, I think it turned out well. The one thing that was hilarious to me was in the original Star Wars, the movies, Anakin, did he have a British accent or did he have an American accent?
Okay, so he's Canadian in real life.
No, I get that, but I'm saying in the
Um,
movie, I can't remember what if he had an
oh,
accent
you
in the
said
movie.
you're like, why does he have like a Chicago kind of accent?
No, he sounded like he had a Boston
Like
accent
Boston.
in the Clone Wars. I was like, what the fuck?
I didn't really notice that. I guess when you say that, maybe, but I
It's
don't
like
know.
no one from Boston is smart enough to be a master of anything. So this is very inaccurate.
Right. Well, so I think I may as well just fucking ask. I'm sure we've talked about this. Like, what are your general opinions on Star Wars?
um,
It's a very broad ass question, but like,
I think we talked about it a little bit the last time, but I
I
I like
know.
them because they're nostalgic, and I watched them with my dad. My dad's more of a sci-fi
Yeah.
slash fantasy kind of guy, and that's the greatest memories that I had with him was watching that kind of stuff. And I enjoy some Star Wars movies for the most part. A lot of it, if I were to watch them today for the first time, I probably wouldn't like them as much as if I hadn't seen them back in the day. But I played Lego Star Wars. I've had
Yeah.
plastic lightsabers, so like it's the culture has been a part of my life since I've been alive. So in that regard, it has a little bit of a charm to me, and I do like some of the movies, but um, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I don't like about Star Wars that people just overlook, and people always blame Disney or blame George Lucas or whatever. I never got into the whole lore behind anything past the movies, so in that respect, I don't know how good the story could be. I guess.
But yeah, so I actually did. I got really into it at a point. Obviously, I don't particularly give a shit anymore. In fact, this is actually probably the only Star Wars property that still holds my interest. Like, in the sense that it still holds my interest in the same way that other things that I really like hold my interest. Like prog metal or salsa or or certain clothing that I like any of these things that are like I love this. Like this is just part of the stuff I love to consume, like this is on that level still. Whereas like I like the other Star Wars movies, but they don't necessarily have that X factor, which I think this show really has. Like it has there's something about the way it's directed, the way the sounds are placed, and the way like the storyboarding and like the framing and like how the shots look and how he pans down and side to side and he uses sound and like anticipation and like there's literally points in this show where I'm just so engaged. Like he's Genndy Tartakovsky is so good at like the mood, right? And that's something I talk about all the time. He's so good at like drawing you in and like like captivating the audience. Like this whole show, like it's so entertaining. It's such a like entertaining experience. Like I don't know what you thought. Um
Yeah, I mean, to kind of piggyback off of what you said of him creating the mood, I think a big proponent that is lost in today's media, whether that be music, movies, shows, art, whatever, is the dynamic. And in terms of music, it's the lowering of volume and the raising of volume in a song, so it gives that just a little bit more depth. And I think that's the one thing with modern movies is they either try to cram too much dialogue or too much exciting scenes as fast as they can, or
yes, yes.
not as much, or they go the opposite effect and they have like zero dialogue and zero exciting things happening in the frame. But when I watched the Clone Wars, it kind of reminded me of the show I like, the anime I like, Trigun, which is like a steampunk dystopian western, and they're good at using sound and setting the mood in the scene to really build the tension of whatever's happening. And the dialogue can be a little bit weird. Like there's some dialogue in the Clone Wars that were clearly like some of it was I
Yeah,
don't
that
know
was
if
just in there, yeah, like just obviously just to for kids because they don't know what's
yeah.
going on.
Well, not even for that. It's just like because I've seen kids movies with just regular dialogue, but
Yeah.
this one there wasn't too much dialogue. But I don't know if it was the way
Right,
they edited
right.
it.
It's just, but like that's part of also why I like it because, like I said, it has that real war movie feel to it, and it's like when you're watching it, you actually feel, even though it's like a cartoon and it's hyper stylized, you're just in it, and like you just feel it. Like when like the battles are happening and the way it's shot and just the sound effects and everything. It's just,
Yeah, and
yeah.
to clarify, I like that. What I'm saying is like when they had the dialogue, the way they edited it together, the way they placed it, I feel like there's too much space between the dialogue, so it didn't feel like a normal
Oh, yeah.
conversation people would have. But that's my only gripe. But I do like how they use the actual scene to set the mood, so you don't feel like you have to cram a shit ton of dialogue to explain what's happening. I think the best example was when Mace Windu was fighting the fucking droids and he's trying to
Ah,
destroy that giant
that was
that giant
awesome.
fucking press machine that was just stomping its way through the troops, and then he flies around and he finds that kid that was admiring him, gives him a drink of water, then flies back into battle. Stuff
Great.
like that I
And
thought was cool.
yeah, just the facial expression. Like you don't need to have all this dialogue, right? Like you can literally you just recounted to me all of the details about that story and why it was awesome, and there wasn't a single word spoken. I don't think. I think one of the droids was like fire at will, and that was it.
Yeah, and I think ironically as it enough as it sounds, and I think this is where animation has a one up over real time is the facial expressions.
Yes.
You can really tweak them to what you want to get that sort of emotion out, and that sort of thing is very hard to do in real life, I feel like. Or like if you try to do it in real life, it doesn't have the same effect because it's not as like zoomed in on the facial features. Or like you're either like really close to the camera to get that unsettling feeling, or it's just a regular shot of people in the scene. So
That's what
I don't know.
right because that's what makes animation, especially like this. It's so striking, right? Because like you said, you don't need to show like yeah, because right, like certain filmmaking techniques require like zooms, pans, or certain things to show, or like close ups, like down angles, up angles to show a certain mood a character's in. But like the animation, they can just draw it, and like you can look at any image of the show of like a character's expression, you could tell me instantly what they're thinking.
Yeah, I think it's subconsciously because before there was movies and TV, it was all art or all hand done.
Yeah.
So it's kind of paramount, or it's kind of tantamount to if you looked at a painting and you could really feel the emotion, the beauty from either the facial features or the expression or the colors, and then you had a model try to recreate that in a photo. Because obviously you can capture great emotion with a photograph, but I feel like that's harder to do in the real time because the scene that you're setting up for in your picture is really well crafted. You're trying to pose the model exactly how like it is in the painting, or if it's not based off of anything else, trying to position them very correctly. And it just takes so much effort to get one still shot. So that is super difficult to do on camera when it's rolling live, I think. So I think that's just our natural tendency to, notice the beauty in art. Fuck.
Yeah, and that's a big reason why I prefer the hand drawn Clone Wars to the computer animated one is because the hand drawn one is gonna look beautiful forever, right? That's like just I remember I Hate Everything brought that up about hand drawn animation. It has that unique quality of like it's timeless, like it'll always look beautiful. Whereas like computer animation, like in 5 years or whatever, it's gonna be like And even so, like just from the computer animation, like just the way that like the characters look in the computer anime Clone Wars, like they just look weird. I'm sorry, and everything
Yeah.
is so floaty and like there's no weight to anything. Like I hate the style it's in. Like it's so bland. Like it has nothing. Whereas like the Tartakovsky Clone Wars, it just has this spice, this electricity to it, which like I'm like this the new Clone Wars, it just doesn't have it. It just does, and like
And
what people say, like, oh well, it's better written and stuff like, and I'm like, that doesn't fucking matter if it doesn't have like the directing and the actual spice to bring that out, right? Because you can have a great story, you can have a great script. If it's not well directed, if it's not well shot, if it's not well any of the other stuff, then like, how is it going to be? How is the story going to have that? How are we going to fully realize it without all those
yeah,
other elements, right? Exactly.
I think everyone knows the phrase, it works on paper, but it doesn't, work in real
Exactly.
time.
Exactly.
And I think in terms of music, again, when I was talking about the dynamic, because you can take your fingers and you can try to play, something on time as best as you can, and it'll never be perfectly on time to what a computer can do. Quantizing. You can quantize it, but you're still taking what you've done and chopping it up to match a digital perfect recreation of what, perfect on I'm not explaining this right because my head's flustered, but pretty much like you're missing the human element of sloppiness, and that adds to the timbre and the tone, with like your because like if you play one note that's computerized, it's gonna give you that same note, and some people are good at emulating that, and they're good at emulating the human randomness, but it still doesn't have that authentic flavor as if you were to just play it yourself. And I think in terms of animation, it kind of has that same effect, especially if it's hand drawn, because it's not
Yeah.
gonna be perfect every single time. You're gonna notice the subtle differences subconsciously.
Yeah, and I like that in a way, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Whereas like with the newer Clone Wars, I'm just like, it just looks like a video game.
Yeah, the animation, like 3D animation, is hard to do right.
It can be done right, obviously. Like,
It's a lot of money, I would say, a lot of
well,
lot
yeah.
more money.
I mean, but it's a lot more money, but it's a lot easier though, which is why it took over. And I don't blame them. I mean, like, because you can just render the image of Anakin, and then you could just animate him from there however you want. Whereas like you don't have to draw literally every image, which like I'm
Yeah, no, obviously it's less efficient to hand draw it, but that's why, I mean, there's a debate where it's like analog versus digital, or how much authenticity does the art have based off of the human element. So
yeah.
some people like one or the other, but I think that's why like 2D animation really has a strong foothold on our emotions.
Yeah, and like just a lot of the sequences in this show are just breathtaking. Like the stuff and like just the choreography and the way like it just like I said like it's really visceral. A lot of it just gets into your gut in this way. Like I said, like I remember I brought it up how like I like how the show is like violent. Well, obviously by kid standards, but it's violent like especially with like the scene where they introduced General Grievous. It was like a horror
Yeah, that was
movie the way
brutal.
that was like, and it wasn't cheesy. It wasn't like you could tell like, oh, they're just doing it in a horror film. Like it just, I don't know, like you just sat there and you were like, especially because like I knew you had never seen this. I was wondering what you thought of that scene.
I don't know. I mean, stuff like that doesn't. I obviously think that there's, like, I guess because I don't have kids, so it's like I don't really give a shit if something's like I'm not looking out for a scene that's too violent. I guess the only one that was kind of funny
Oh,
was
that's
when,
not. I mean, that's not what I was saying.
well, no, like I didn't notice that it was abnormally violent for a
Oh,
kids
oh yeah,
show,
yeah, okay.
because like I've seen like kids movies that have adult themes and stuff that be kind of like it's parental guidance for a reason. Um, But the one scene that was probably brutal, just off of sheer how it looked, was when Anakin chased that whatever that bald bitch was into the jungle planet, and then she was taking all of his troops and just like slamming them against
Yeah,
trees.
that was awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Also,
In terms of
remember?
like
Oh,
how it
sorry.
looked, it was probably the most brutal.
Remember when they're escaping with the Chancellor because Grievous is going to kidnap him, and then um they leave, lock the door, and then it's all the clones and the guards trying to stop General Grievous, and he's like, okay, and he went ape shit on all those guys. Remember that?
That was a pretty intense scene.
That I think was like you literally saw him like cutting them open like with the lightsaber. I mean, obviously there's no blood pouring out, but still you saw the whole like cut and everything. It was and like the burn mark from the lights. It was really really beautiful. Not beautiful, sorry, brutal. And like I said, the
I
way it was edited, and you see like and like the last shot is just his foot stomping on the helmet, and it just shatters it. I thought that is so well done.
Yeah, Grievous was always a cool character. Even that I remember in the regular Star Wars movies, I liked him a lot.
Yeah, but like after watching this, and then you see how he was in like Revenge of the Sith, he sucks. Like
I don't.
they nerfed him so much, man.
I haven't seen that movie in ages, so I don't even remember. I just remember him being a cool character. I don't remember what he was like as a character.
Also, he looks cool, obviously, but like in the new one, like he's a coward and he like whines and like he can't actually do anything. So he has to get other people to do it for him. Whereas like in this in
Oh, that's right.
right, and he's just a very like just sniveling like like, whereas like in the Clone Wars, which was this was actually the original plans for the character, um they designed him as this sort of right, because like up because in the whole rest of the show, right, leading up to the introduction of General Grievous, the Jedi are like gods, right? Like they're literally jumping like 1,000 feet distances. They're like taking on all of like whole armies like by themselves and stuff like that. Like they're gods on Earth essentially. But they designed Grievous to be a sort of Jedi hunter, right? He's like the first threat that they've ever really faced, right? Because that's why, like, he has all of the because right, like I said, character design is really important, and like anyone can kind of look at Grievous and they can kind of get what he is, right? Like he's just this kind of like vampiric, almost like with the way his cape is, and he's like hanging from the ceiling almost like he's just this vampiric Jedi hunter. Because you see like the like they didn't have to say that in the show. They didn't have to have the stupid like he's a Jedi hunter. Like you just see the lightsabers hanging from his fucking like armor, and you're like, oh shit, that's what he does, you know?
Yeah, and I think that goes to my problem just with the sensationalism push in this country, where they can't have any redeeming qualities. Like they have to let you know that this is a bad guy character, and they portray a lot of villains as cowards, and stuff, and just other just kind of whiny attributes to a lot of bad characters. And
Right, and
um,
that's not necessarily a bad thing, right?
yeah,
But
but all the time though, is it just gets old, and I
right,
think it's just
exactly,
like
yeah.
it makes the character one dimensional, and it also just like they I guess people are like we because everybody lives in this black and white age, right? Everybody has to know clearly when something is wrong and clearly when something is good, so they can choose the easy side to be on. So it's like
Right,
they
right.
can't have the brain capacity to look at a bad character and be like, I can't find any redeeming qualities in this character, otherwise it's pushing a narrative. It's like, no. People are complicated. You can
Yeah,
have good
like
qualities in villains.
right, like the worst bad guys are the ones that are one dimensional and they're just big bad guy man. Whereas like I think even like this simple character like they did in Grievous, like there's so many different things they do. Like I said, with his design, the way he speaks, and the way like the training sequence with Count Dooku, which I thought was very well done. Where you see, okay, he's under somebody, right? Like he's not El Jefe, right? Like he's not calling all the shots. He's a servant to somebody, right? And you see him, Dooku's kind of playing with him, and he's like, "No, you got to stop doing this, stop doing that, stop doing that." Like I liked that. That added that little kind of um layer to his character, right? And then he was like, "Yes, thank you for training me. It has awarded me many trophies." And then I love the line from Dooku where he's like, "Don't let your pursuit of trinkets cloud your reality." And I think that is so true for so many people, you know?
Yeah, it's a pretty relatable trope.
Right, but like that quote, that is so good. And it's like from a fucking kid show. Like I keep saying that the it's the gift that keeps on giving, this show. It's so good.
Yeah, I was surprised how it was well done. The one of the scenes that surprised me that I didn't feel like really fit in this series, but I guess looking back on it, was for well, I guess no, it still doesn't really make too much sense when Anakin was freeing those fucking rat people.
Oh, so actually, wait, did you fall asleep at
Because
all
like that
during
would
that?
no, I oh as a background. So like Will fell asleep for a certain part of it,
Yeah.
and I would like it was 8 o'clock. I just got off work, and I'm usually never tired because I go to the gym after. But I was struggling to stay awake, and I look at Will, and he's fucking asleep. So I was like, shit, is there like carbon monoxide in this fucking place right now? What is happening? I was like,
Nice.
why am I struggling to fucking stay awake?
Yeah, and then once I woke up, I was not tired anymore.
Yeah, but no, I almost fell asleep, but I was pretty conscious throughout the entire thing. But I think I was kind of getting weary around that point, so some of it was kind of confusing. I was like, why is he doing this?
Well, so because remember, so he went to the village with with Obi-Wan, right? Because he killed that beast just out of like, he was just protecting his squadron, right? He killed that beast, which there was that young guy in the village of like, I mean, I'm not trying to be offensive, but I think they're just kind of reminiscent of like some sort of like indigenous like Native American tribe or something like that. Where like he was undergoing his rite of passage, and then he was supposed to kill the thing, and then Obi-Wan's like, "Yeah, I think you shouldn't have done that, bro." And then Anakin didn't realize he just like offended all these people, and then they just take him in, right? And then so then he realizes, oh shit, there's no men here. It's all women and children. Where did the fucking men go? And then the shaman is um, like he kind of explains to him what the deal is, and he's like, "This is like you are part of this prophecy of like the ghost hand, right? Because Anakin had his hand cut off, so that's what like yeah, like the ghost hand will free the the slaves essentially."
I guess I maybe did fall asleep for a second because I kept going in and out. So like I saw everything that you mentioned, but for some reason in my head I couldn't like piece it
Oh yeah.
together.
Oh, did you see the dream sequence?
Yes, I did.
Right, with
Yeah.
like the etchings in the cave.
Yeah. That's I
That
think I kind of like woke up a little bit at that part, so I was like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Oh wait, so did you see the real thing though? Like the whole thing?
I did, but I saw it in fragments, so it's like
Oh
I kept
fuck.
going in and
Yeah,
out.
because that's like the best and like most important scene in the whole thing.
Oh shit!
Dude, watch it right now. It takes like 2 minutes.
It's
Let
gonna
me
take me 10 minutes to find the fucking clip on YouTube.
let me fucking
Just
find it
explain it
for
to
you.
me. If
No,
you explain it to me, I'll probably it'll probably jog my memory. I can't recall like straight up is what I'm saying.
wait, hold on. No, I'm finding it. This right fucking now. I can find it.
Oh my god.
No, because it takes like. No, sorry, it's from 2003. Actually, I'm wrong. Not 2004.
I was in kindergarten.
I wasn't even. Oh no, I was 1 years old. Nice.
But I say, were you even a sperm stain yet?
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, wait, was I even born? Okay, let me see. Um,
But yeah, it was. I remember the art being pretty trippy, and it was cool the way that they did it. And it's weird that Anakin was the guy that went through this rite of passage only to, eventually become Darth Vader and throw all that good thinking away, so to speak.
yeah, all right. Hold on. Wait, I can find it.
See, like I said, it's gonna take you more time to find the clip than to watch it.
There it is. Takes 1 minute.
Oh, I stand corrected.
So like remember there's the image leading up to it, right? Where like he starts looking at the cave, right? And then like it pans around and then it like shows his eye and you just see him like
Yeah,
he's losing his mind, right? And like they zoom into his eye and then you see what's going on in his eye, which is like the cave, like the painting he was looking at.
yeah. I remember that part.
Right. So I just sent it to you. It takes 1 minute. Because like I said, this was like the most important part and the best part of the show in my opinion. I think this was the most like well wait, watch it first and then I'll explain why.
It really just sets the whole theme for the whole entire show. All right, you got a monologue while I'm doing this. Go on a Star Wars rant while I
Yeah.
watch this.
So I think Star Wars fans are like the worst fans of any fan base ever because I don't understand what they want, right? And it's like what I think is interesting about it is like it's split into so many different sects, right? Because it's like you have like the 40-year-old OT purists, and then you have like the newer generation where it's like no, the prequels are the best, and then you got like the the weird people that like the sequels better than the other one. It's like I'm fine with the sequels, but like they're not the best ones, right? But then there's like the weird people like me where it's like, no, I kind of just like the extra stuff more than the actual stuff because I think a lot of the extra stuff was better. Like this show specifically, The Force Unleashed, I think is a great game. Um, Battlefront, I think, is fantastic. Like I like pretty much all the stuff that isn't the main movies. Well, sorry, I like all the main movies, but all the stuff I like more is the side stuff, the stuff that came after, right? Um, yeah, it's weird, and like I don't like it as much as I used to, just because it just reminds me more about like the time when I was really into that, how much worse it made my life, how much it was taking away from what was really important in my life. It was not a good investment on time. Well, actually, no, I can't say that because I'm here talking about this with Jason. I have a.
I did not expect you to go that deep into it.
I was just trying to say a bunch of shit so that it didn't get boring. Did you? Oh, but do you watch the sequence though, right?
I did. So that I guess that was his
Yeah.
prophecy of him turning into Darth Vader. Okay.
Right, but it's like I think that's my like that's the best sequence in the whole show on an artistic level, on a storytelling level, on a every fucking level.
Yeah,
It's
and that part
so
reminded me of Samurai Jack a
well.
lot with the animation of how they made the darkness, the dark side forces, getting into Anakin with
Right,
his
and I
arm.
yeah, and I love how it's like the way that like they made all the stuff like move, like the bad stuff was all these weird little different shapes like expanding. That was so well done, and then it's like you see it like bites his arm off, and then he has the new arm, and his arm just keeps like getting bigger and bigger and stronger and more powerful. That was so cool. It's
Yeah, it was a
so
really well done scene.
yeah, like it's just it's so tasteful. It's so artistic. It's eerie. It's everything that the new Clone Wars isn't because like they have a similar sequence in the new Clone Wars and it's so painfully fucking obvious what it is and it looks stupid. Anakin is like, "No." And I'm like, "Shut up, dude." And it's like,
Yeah, I guess when I watched it, I remember watching. I remember seeing the whole thing, but I guess I missed the last part where the shapes turn into Darth Vader and they scream his name. So I think I just missed that part. But I watched the entire thing. I remember.
yeah. But like this brings up something to me which I also love about the show is that I don't really like you don't even really need to be that into Star Wars to think that this is cool and interesting, right? Because I think a bunch of the other Star Wars properties like Clone Wars or like the Bad Batch or whatever that is and a lot of these other things or like the Mandalorian. I know that offends people, but I really don't give a shit. Um, I feel like you really need to be into the lore and like the ships and the characters and like all the different races and all the factions and all the lore, like I said, the lore and all that stuff. Whereas like this show is just a really great work of art on its own.
I don't think so about the Mandalorian. That's why tons of new people got into it, and it's like one
Uh,
of the most popular shows because they did a lot of storytelling and explaining. It wasn't like you had to know the lingo or get into it that way. Obviously, people.
no, I think that's true for like the first season, but I think after that, I was like, okay, no, this is going back to the same fan service bullshit with like all the Boba Fett
Oh
and
yeah,
look, I was like, no, that's gay. But like,
I forgot that they did that in the second season. Yeah, I guess the
no,
first season was you could get into without knowing anything.
even so, even on its own rights, I just don't think it was that good. I was like, it was whatever. Didn't really I didn't really remember anything about it. It was all like I think this guy who I was talking to a long time ago when I was much more into these things, like he said how like all of the action in the first season of The Mandalorian was just like a variation of a shootout.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and it's like I'm not saying that that's necessarily bad because obviously you can do it well, but going back to this show, the Clone Wars I showed you, it had like the widest variety of battles and like action. They had a really good variety, I think, because like you get your lightsaber sword duels, you get your big fucking large scale battles like Lord of the Rings style, but it's like with the guns and futuristic and everything. You got your ship battles like in space, and then you got your speeder like land vehicle, like that whole sequence where Obi-Wan is like riding the speeder with all the other clones going up against Dirge. That was badass.
Yeah, that's the one positive thing I can say about Star Wars is they do large scale battles very well, and I would argue better than Lord of the Rings does them. And I think that was present in the Clone Wars too.
Yeah, I think this. Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I think that only really applies in this show. Like any other battle in any other Star Wars thing, I don't think comes close to what they pulled off here. Like I said, because of like the variety and the way like it's directed, it's such a complete package, you know? Like I talk about that like and you brought it up too, like just like what is the complete package? Like what are you really getting, you know? Like we it's great if this thing is awesome, but it's like how does it work as a whole, right? And I think it just really delivers. It's an all around really entertaining, really artistic, really engaging children's TV show. Which I mean, another thing, like I keep saying, all these things keep coming to my head. Like I can't stop explaining how good this show is. Like it's literally made up of 5 to 10 minute. No, actually, no. The first season, which is like, sorry, guys. For anybody who doesn't know, the show is split up into two seasons. The first season is made up of 5 minute shorts, right? So that's an episode, like 5 minutes, and then the second season is like another hour, right? So the whole thing is like the length of a movie, right? So I treat it as a movie. The second season is made up of like 10 to 12 minute episodes, so they could expand more, and like they were more of like episodes, so to speak. But like the whole thing flows together like a movie. I don't even know how the fuck it works. It wasn't even designed to work that way, or maybe it was. I don't know, but like it works.
It definitely could have been a movie. I didn't really, I mean, until you just said it, I didn't notice them as short episodes.
Yeah, thinking back to it now, like it coming out as short episodes, I didn't even think that would have worked as well. Like five
Is that how
minutes.
they did it on TV? Like they broke it up into that many like amount of minutes?
Yeah, so the first season they would play the episodes like before like the main show had its slot, right? Because it's only 5 minutes. You could play it, as like a commercial, almost. Because that's what it was, like it was ads for toys.
So wild they did it like that.
I know, but it's like they put that much care. They could have literally just made an advertisement,
Yeah.
but no. They're like, no, Genndy Tartakovsky, we want you to make a badass show that I'm still talking about in 2023. Shit, it's 20 years old. I just realized that. God damn it, man. I keep.
Yeah.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. You can just see how much I fucking love this show.
Wait, so you're 20, right?
I am 20. Yes.
So you were born in '03.
No, I was born in '02. Or,
Oh, you're born in
or
'02.
sorry, I don't know if it's 20 years by the month yet, because I think it came out in like May 2023 or something. Sorry, May 2003.
Well, what month were you born?
I was born in October.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not that. I mean, you wouldn't have watched it anyway. And
No, yeah, I
a
couldn't.
couple months old.
Right, I wouldn't have been able to. But I think like I was talking about with the variety of battles, you get like your close quarters, you get your large scale, and like the lightsaber duels. I think are just phenomenal.
Yeah, all the fighting was really good, and
Right, and
I don't know. Yeah,
it rides that fine line of like it's hyper stylized, but like it's still you feel the weight and like you actually are into it, right? And it's just also it has that similar style of Samurai Jack where everything is so simplistic. Like it's everything is very simple.
yeah,
Like it's not. it's not very detailed. It's very plain almost, but it just it works to its favor because everything is so like ambiguous almost. It's almost like watching fucking real life in a sense where like, not everything necessarily like you can watch this and you're like, I don't know necessarily who the good guys and the bad guys are, Which I think
Yeah, it gave everyone equal time to play it out and see what happens.
because even like it showed the Sith like when I thought that whole sequence on in the Colosseum was awesome.
Yeah.
That and then like when Ventress is introduced, I love and like you said about the dialogue and how it wasn't always good. I agree with you, but I think what they did, when Dooku was like, your host will applaud your abilities posthumously. Like I love how they throw in that like quote unquote like intelligent vocabulary and stuff like because like they know a kid's not gonna know that, but they're like, yeah, we're gonna just put it there anyways because it sounds
Look, I
awesome.
didn't have a problem with with what they said as the dialogue. I'm saying the way they edited it together and the spacing that they did, I felt like was really strange.
But you have to admit, some of the dialogue was like not that good.
Well, yeah, it's a kid show, but obviously, like
Right?
you said,
Yeah.
with the good dialogue, it didn't feel natural. It felt like somebody recorded it and pieced it to. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like a character talking in some of the
Yeah,
parts.
I got you. Yeah, makes
So
sense.
that in that regard, that's what was strange. But yeah, some of the dialogue was great, and what I like when stuff isn't overly stupid. So that was great.
It fell into that shit sometimes with C-3PO, where I was like, oh,
Yeah, but it was minor moments. It
true,
wasn't like
true.
a whole.
No, and that's
Yeah,
the redeeming factor of it.
yeah.
Because I was
It was
like,
very short.
yeah, I was like,
'Cause,
okay,
I mean, it's
this
for kids. You have to put that shit in there.
right, or else, yeah, or it's like who, yeah, because then it's like, who are they playing this to? Like 20-year-old fucking incels? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between you can watch something like this for 2 hours as opposed to you watch Coco Melon for 2 minutes. You want to fucking kill yourself. So
I don't even know what the hell that is.
it's a show for babies. They just sing and talk about shapes and colors, but it's the most annoying thing you've ever heard in your
Oh,
life.
but that's like for like the 2-year-old, right?
Exactly. Well,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
my point. Like
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like it's interesting though. Like a show for kids can captivate. Obviously, there's a lot of kids content in movies and shows that adults really love, but this one is really centered to kids. So the fact that it can keep and entertain an adult audience is cool. Um, that's what I meant.
Yeah, C.S. Lewis said that if a kid's book is and it applies to all media, right? Like he said if a kid's book is not also engaging for adults, then it's not a good work of literature.
Yeah, I agree. And speaking of C.S. Lewis, I think they're doing a Narnia reboot on Netflix. I'm very interested to see how that plays
Are
out.
they? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, based on how the reboots have been going, I don't know. Um
Well, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully they'll do because like I said, the last few Narnia movies weren't good, and I think it just fell into the trap of using the name to make a blockbuster film to make money, but we just put a bunch of bullshit in there that doesn't mean anything just to captivate, dudes' girlfriends to buy tickets so they would see the fucking movie.
I've only I've only seen the first one, and I think it's a pretty good movie.
The original four, I think there's a few that were great, and then after that, they were just regular Hollywood bullshit. But I'm interested to see what the pacing would be like as a show because it would follow the books better if they do it right.
Yeah, they could actually go into more detail and stuff like that. Because remember, I was saying like I think Harry Potter would have worked better as a show.
Yeah, it probably would have been.
Yeah. Um. But yeah, but even so, like you see how this like Star Wars like it just works better in the show style. I think so.
I think most things work better in the show style.
At
It's
least
hard
now, yeah,
to,
it's kind of just developed
yeah,
that way. But I love this is just such a good balance because it is literally a TV show, but it's like chopped up and so, but it still is the length of a movie. That's what's so fascinating to me about it.
yeah, and which is great. I like. Because without this, I probably would have never watched it on my own because I would have no interest in doing so. So I like viewing these lost pieces of media to me.
Yeah, it's just
Lost in my sense, not in general,
yeah. I'm your portal, right?
but my clairvoyance
Right.
to
Um.
underrated shit.
Yeah. Oh, I also just the way not only does Tartakovsky tell you a visual story in the sense that he's literally just showing you what happens, right? Um, but I love he's very good at symbolism and stuff like that. Like especially in the Anakin versus Ventress fight when like she's fighting him in space because Anakin is he's put in command of this big battle, right? And then he gets lost, he gets sidetracked. You know, he's this one ship. He's like, ah, that's not a droid pilot. And he's bothering me. I gotta go after him. And I love the character development too between and like the conflict between Anakin and Obi-Wan. And you could tell like they're not exactly like they're not exactly friends yet. Like they're still like and because that's something I don't get in the movies. Because like I'm like you guys were never really friends. So like why should I really give a shit if you're enemies now? You know. Whereas I think this iteration and in this universe, so to speak, that Gendy created, I think they really did a good job of like, yeah, Anakin is a whiny asshole in the beginning, and of course you don't like him then, but then you see him actually grow, and it's like you actually see him save somebody, because like in the movies, you never really saw him do anything good when you think about it, like he's just a whiny asshole from the beginning and he literally
Yeah.
he's literally involved in a mass murder involving women and children and like he's a fucking creep to Padme. He's just so annoying and like no one likes him. The council is like, yeah, this dude's kind of a whiny, annoying, self-righteous asshole. Is he really the chosen one? And it's like, and the whole movie he's just complaining about that and it's like you never. Okay, I guess the only good thing he did was save the Chancellor, which he turned out to be the fucking bad guy. Like you never actually like you never actually see the Jedi in the Clone Wars. Oh, no, sorry, in the actual prequel movies, you never saw them actually saving just regular people, and like in this show when like you see like they're like these gods and like just these warriors, like they're just so unbelievably powerful and stuff like that. But then you also see them like humanized, like when you see who they're doing it for, and then also like when Mace Windu when he sees the kid and then the kid is like whoa, like this fuck, like when the camera like pans from his feet all the way up to Mace Windu's face, you can tell how this kid views this Jedi, right? Like it's so incredible, right? But then Mace Windu is just like, yeah, I'm just a regular dude, and then the kid offers him the water bottle. I think it's very well done. You don't have to have the stupid thank you. Like you just, hey, here's some water, bro. And then he's like, and you just see Mace Windu smile, accepts the water, and it's like, yeah. I feel more emotion and engagement in that than in literally anything I saw in the new Clone Wars. Or anything in like the other Star Wars for that matter. And it's so simple. It's so well done.
Yeah, it just adds to its charm. I'm curious, like, if they did the prequels first back in the day, how they would write Anakin.
I know, cause like that's a big problem, like from the root that makes me not like the prequels is because like it's all written from like a and like this is why most prequels are bad because it's like they just write it from like the how do we explain all of these things, and it's like
Yeah.
like this doesn't really work out because it's like it's gonna create all of these fucking continuity problems. And it's like, you know what? Maybe this story started at this point for a reason, you know?
I mean, it also is difficult to make sequels too. So, I mean, I feel like you still have continuity issues, and
I think
yeah, I
prequels
mean,
are harder though.
I agree,
Yeah,
but I don't know. It's just the to write continuous good material is difficult, especially when you strike
sure,
gold.
sure. Yeah, but and then also you get on the trap of like, we have a lot of good, but then as you just keep making it, and then it just eventually it's just gonna get bad.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, but this show it never ceases to amaze me how good it is. Um, Another thing I was saying, like with the visual storytelling, when he's fighting Ventress on Yavin, which I thought was really cool because that was the place of the rebel base in the in A New Hope. I thought that was pretty cool, and I love like the way that Anakin, he goes from this cocky guy to like you actually see him like get hurt, right? Like you see his ass get kicked by a woman. I just use that as like a for comedic effect. I'm not trying to be sexist at all, but like you just see him and he's not angry from it. Like you actually see him vulnerable, because in the beginning of the show, like you don't really like Anakin because he's essentially the same character as you saw from the second movie. But then actually you see him like, oh man, he got his ass kicked, right? And he wasn't really whining about it. He was just like, oh, like you saw him like generally like you saw fear in his eyes when like Ventress started like moving like all those like rocks and like forcing it using the force to like just shove it in his face and it was just hitting him like he was just man like and I love the like you said you got a lot of anime vibes that's he's Tartakovsky has said that in interviews he was very much inspired by like Japanese not just anime but like samurai movies from like the 60s and stuff like that and that fight scene has a lot of those kind of tropes. Like you see, like just there's those long periods of just like they're just sitting there doing, just waiting.
Yeah.
And I love, oh, man, I know I've said that a billion fucking times, but there's just certain things where like it's really these little things that just like I said, it just spices up the fucking mood. Like the way like the fight starts and you like the stakes are like yeah I don't really know like it's just a regular kind of sword fight but then you kind of notice like the more that like the more emotional moral and like spiritual kind of weight that the fight takes on it gets more serious right and like it gets darker and then it starts like Anakin is like oh like he's just he's been he lost the first round right because the fight's essentially in like three segments right so then Ventress has the high ground. She's on the temple. Like she's on like the top of the pyramid, right? Anakin's on the bottom, and they're just sitting there. And what I love how Tartakovsky just he adds those little touches, like I said, that just enhance the mood so well. Like you just see the not only does he make it start raining, but you see like the one drop, and you hear it, and then it's like another drop, dude, dude, and you just hear like this just gradually starts raining and it builds up and I love how it goes. It touches the lightsaber and then you see like the steam coming out. I thought that was such a cool effect.
Yeah, and that's the one thing, and it's very hard to find in anime specifically. Obviously, there's great ones, and I haven't watched it in forever, so I'm sure there's new shows that are really good. But the one thing I didn't like about anime was it just was over the top in a lot of different respects, and I kind of felt that was charming back then. But now, if I were to see it, I probably think it'd be really stupid. But
Yeah,
I keep going back to it, but I think that'd be my next recommendation if you want to watch. I don't know how I want to do this, but um, if I should recommend to watch a couple episodes of Trigun or watch one episode, I don't know how to approach doing a show.
yeah, we've
Um,
never really done that. I don't know how that would work.
but that one is really cool. There's a lot of, I mean, obviously there's a lot of over the top scenes because it's anime and there's a lot of goofy characters, right? But there's a lot of like serious ultimate scenes, and one of them, like I said before, the main character is a guy that he's been labeled as this outlaw that's super ruthless and just leaves whole towns decimated when really he's just a goofy character that has bad luck with bad guys and shit just happens, but he doesn't want to kill anybody. He's like the best gunslinger in the world and without killing anyone. And there's a scene where he was running through some steampunk ship trying to escape or something, and he accidentally shoots a guard in a lethal spot, and he senses it and he starts freaking out. Like they're racing against time, and he's trying to make sure this one soldier doesn't die, kind of thing, and he's getting really upset about it. So like there's a lot of moments like that in that show that I thought was really cool. And I don't know if like I said, I haven't seen it in forever, so if I go back and watch it now, if it's gonna have that same impact. But I remember it was really cool to me back in the day to see a different character like that.
Yeah, that is interesting. I haven't watched anime in a while.
A lot of it is fucking ridiculous and just
Yeah,
gross, but
I remember there's a lot of things in anime that like are sort of a lot of things that are like lacking in anime, like I said, that were in this show, where like you can just tell that like it's just cheaper and it's a lot lazier, which I know a lot of these animators unfortunately are just overworked and stuff like that, but it's like that doesn't really make the artistic integrity that much better. I'm not saying it's their fault, right? The animators, but just like a lot of the things, like you could just tell anime is it's very cheaply made.
I guess it depends on the style because a lot of anime from the '90s kind of
Some,
has
yeah,
that
no,
effect,
some of
but
it looks
a
really
lot of
good.
new modern anime is super detailed.
Yeah, I guess I haven't seen anime in a while.
Yeah, so I mean, the setting is, I mean, obviously sometimes they kind of cheap out on the characters and the expression just to really, because it's otherwise it would take for fucking ever, right?
Yeah.
As a show. But the background and the scenes in the background and the effects that they actually do are very well done.
I guess the new
It's actually sometimes very hyper realistic.
the newest anime I ever saw was like, man, I don't even know. Maybe I need to. All right, I don't want to get too into anime. Yeah, this is
You'd be a kind of person that'll get too heavy into anime.
me.
Yeah.
I was into anime for a little while. There still is some animes I like. I love Death Note. I think Death Note is fantastic.
Did you ever watch Full Metal Alchemist?
I watched like the first episode, and
That one was cool.
I remember thinking it was like kind of stupid.
I see.
I thought the idea was cool, like on paper, like we talked about, but
Yeah.
I was like, it's just. And I started watching like Sword Art Online, and I'm like, okay, this is like the most animeist anime that ever animated. And
Yeah, it's very
yeah,
derivative.
right, because it's like every anime has that like the I will never stop fighting. I will fight to the end. That's like the main character, and then there's like
Yeah.
the brash like brute kind of like silent character, like male like tough guy who has like a dark past and stuff like that, and he's like broken. It's like Sasuke, which I think Sasuke is probably like the best one you can get. But it's like a Sasuke, like, he's
Yeah.
just like that like cooler version of the main character who like like that they have that conflict, but he's like the cool like masculine tough guy, but he has the dark past and he's a very tortured soul, right? And then you have like the annoying girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um.
I think the anime trope that is the most funny to me is like their undying loyalty and devotion to really stupid shit like clubs. You ever watch those animes where they have those ridiculous high school clubs?
I never had that at my
It's
school.
like, we're the Doshin Academy ping pong team and we're gonna fucking kill you. Because we are the best in the world. Just
but
like, chill out.
but I think in Clone Wars, it took the best parts about anime. And I love how
I agree,
Tartakovsky
yeah.
just he creates his own unique style. And it's so him. Like you can see anything that he's done and you just know it's him. Like you see Samurai Jack, you see like the same thing. Like if you've seen Primal, I would love to show you that. It's the same kind of atmosphere and you're like, yeah, this is a Tartakovsky work. Like he's a really underrated artist. Like I don't understand why people don't recognize this. Like he's such a like he can write, direct, produce, he can draw storyboards, he can animate, like he can do all of this really well. He's so good at doing all these things. He's like the better version of Tim Burton.
As Edge Lordy.
Right, he's like the non-edgelord, non-cringe version of Tim Burton. And I liked some of Tim
Yeah.
Burton's stuff, but it's like in the sense where like Tim Burton, like he's very good at multiple different things, but like like there's a lot of people in the entertainment industry that are like that, where like like whether you're Tim Burton or like Seth MacFarlane or something like that, where they are very talented people, right? And they can do a lot of really different things very well, but it's like they have like I think Tim Burton has a giant ego, so does Seth MacFarlane, so do like a lot of these like other people. And I just think that like kind of ruins their projects. Where I think Gendy, he not only has his vision, but he has like his other people. I think like Brian Andrews is one of the writers that like he's worked on like they've worked on almost everything together, and they're just kind of this little team. It's really cool.
I wonder what he's working on these days.
He did Primal. and that came out
Was that?
recently.
Oh, that was recently.
Yeah, I think he's working on the next seasons of that because I think the third season recently came out for that. If I'm not mistaken, I haven't seen it, but I remember the second season came out when I went to Brazil in summer 2021.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think the third season's out. I need to check, but yeah, Primal is a great show.
You have to check it out. I've
Yeah.
just been rewatching Vikings because I haven't found any good shit to watch lately.
Yeah, well, I'm giving you good shit to watch.
All right, I'll do it. Jesus.
No, I mean, you know it's a good shit to watch? Downton Abbey, baby.
Oh, fuck that show.
I
I will
actually,
never
I
get
kind
into
of,
British royalty shit.
I'm kind of liking it. From like, I mean,
Are you serious?
I'm not actually sitting down and watching it, but I see it every time I go into the kitchen and I'm like cooking my stuff and moving around because like my family is watching it. No, and it's pretty good. I love it's so beautiful. I love like all of the scenery and the way they dress. It's very cool.
I can't remember if it was this show or The Crown, one of the two. I was listening to a podcast and people talking about media, and they were saying Netflix must have threw a shit ton of. I guess this was The Crown. Never mind. They're basically just saying they must have put so much money into each shot because it was very beautifully done. But
Right.
I don't know. Like I just figured it'd be so fucking boring. I don't give a fuck about Victorian England.
Um, no, that was not Victorian England.
Downtown Abbey.
No, Downton Abbey is like World War One.
What am I thinking? Is The Crown Victorian England?
Maybe. I think
The fuck?
who was it King George?
I don't fuck. I didn't watch either of them. I just assumed it was about Victorian England. But either way, I could give a shit about
Yeah.
British things
It's about
unless it's medieval.
no, British stuff is actually pretty good. Um like it's peaceful in a way. I like a lot of British stuff like that. Like have you ever
It just seems like a depressed housewife show,
No,
like The Bachelor,
no,
but not as retarded.
but it's the actual good version of that.
I see.
And it's done
I'm
very
still not gonna
well
watch
and
it.
like it's just no, but you know, because like I'm a very big believer that every culture has a flex, right? And like England really has it going on with like it's clothing and like it's tea stuff. I love the English like London kind of aesthetic with like the guards and like the phone boxes and like we wear our really nice clothes and stuff like that. We have our cool awesome looking houses like with all the paintings and like the tapestries and the all the designs on the walls. Like just their house is the actual Downton Abbey house is beautiful. It's so cool to look at and like the way it's shot and the lighting. Like there's always something interesting when I'm looking at it. I don't necessarily know what the plot. I know some of the plot just because I've picked up some of it from seeing bits and pieces for so much, but like I don't really know that much about it. And just from what I'm seeing, like there's just always something interesting going on. Like, and I see it with the characters. Like it's not really cheesy. I'm not saying that's what you think, but I think it's from what
It just
I've seen.
seems
It's really,
boring.
well, why?
I feel like the American version is Little House on the Prairie. You might enjoy that too.
I haven't seen that.
You might like it if you like Downtown Abbey
Maybe
or Downton Abbey, however the fuck you want to say it.
Downton.
Downton. You have Downton syndrome.
Yeah,
Fucking
so this is
yeah,
why
but I guess
Clone Wars is better.
yeah, I think my overall score of Clone Wars is a 7.5 out of 10. It would be an 8 out of 10 if the dialogue was a little smoother. So
I got you. It's like you're rating an album, and it's like the mixing could a little bit better. Right.
yeah, I don't know how much this is a post mistake or if it was just how it came about. So I don't know.
It was the 2000s, dude. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
They were probably using some like iMovie bullshit.
probably.
Yeah. What was your favorite sequence in the whole show?
Let's see. I think it's the Mace Windu fight. I think I like that one the best.
That when he loses his lightsaber, like, cause that's the thing. It's so creative. I love how they use all these different ideas that like you never really thought of before. Like, oh, you
Yeah.
Jedi without his lightsaber. Okay, I'm just gonna punch all these fucking droids. Like that was all. And he just
Yeah.
and the way he uses the Force, and he just like you see all the parts. Like he just dismembers them. That was so cool. And he uses those
If
parts
any
that
scene felt like an anime,
yeah.
it was that one.
Yeah, that definitely did. Um yeah. It's a good, fun, entertaining, artistic show.
I agree. I concur.
Right. And it just it like I said, I really don't think it relies on the Star Wars brand as much. Obviously the Star Wars branding really can make some of this stuff even better than it already would have been, with all the cool sound effects, the cool looking
Yeah.
aesthetic and stuff like that. Because obviously the Star Wars sound catalog, like nothing tops it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
right. And when you have access to that and like the music, and a lot of the music actually was original stuff. Just those motifs and everything and the melodies, like it just elevated it that much more than what it already would have been. I love the like because I think another thing this show really does well because like I mentioned before, the problem I have with a lot of the other Star Wars stuff is that like it's not like is like the continuity and everything, not in the sense of like, oh, why wasn't this object in this thing? It's like no. I just have a problem with like the way that like the universe works in this movie. It's completely different in the other movie. Like the original movies versus the prequel movies. Like the way that the world works and like the force and everything in both of those shows, like they're completely different from one another. It's not like, oh, this is the interpretation, or it's like no, like they're literally different things. But I think the Clone Wars did such a good job of like it took both of them and whereas like the original movies and the prequels, like you don't even think, like you couldn't even believe that they took place in the same universe. Like they look nothing alike, they feel nothing alike, right? The only thing that makes it Star Wars is, oh, there's like lightsabers in it.
Yeah.
Whereas
Which
like
is amazing considering the fact they were just trying to sell the toys.
right, but I think Clone Wars does such a good job of like it takes both the originals version of the Force and the world and the prequels uh version of it, and it combines both of them, and it does its own thing. It's great. It works out. Um and I love the stuff they do even for the people that are into like the universe. Like the knighting ceremony when Anakin is um dubbed a Jedi Knight. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that was cool.
Right, because I didn't know how that worked. And obviously, I know there is a version that they said is how it works in the canon, but I don't give a shit because I'm sure it's not as cool as what they did here.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes people just capture lightning in a bottle and for no other reason than they just tried.
I know that's literally what this is. This show is lightning in a bottle.
Well, cool. I'm glad that you got the space to express your love for it.
Because I planned on making a back when like I was still in high school. I wanted to make a video essay about it, but then I just got so bogged down in other stuff in my life, and I was like, I made like the first like 2 minutes of the thing, and then I was like, eh.
I
I,
could just imagine you in high school making a video essay for the fucking Clone
right, but then I'm
Wars.
like,
You
eh.
in some like striped shirt or some shit. You're just sitting in some shitty webcam.
Right, but so I'm like, yeah, this just isn't really gonna. I don't really think I'm gonna be as good as like at doing that. So I'm like, yeah, let me just explain it in this format because it's easier, and I think I'll just make more sense. Um,
Yeah, you get your raw thoughts out there.
yeah, it's just the spice, man. Like it's just spicy, man.
The spice of life.
Right, like this show, it's a spicy, man. Like show anybody from like any culture in the world, what do they think is more interesting, this or the new Clone Wars? Like everyone is gonna say like, oh, that the old Clone Wars that looks cooler. I'm more into this. Like there's something about it. It allures you more. It's really cool.
Hopefully, we get to see some new pieces of media that are like this in our lifetime.
Hopefully,
Tired of watching old shit.
dude, I would love it if they just redid all of the Star Wars movies in this style. That would have
It'd be a
been.
lot of effort.
I know, but it's like, and I know I'm like the only one who would really care. But even so, I would pay money to see that.
You know who's gonna do it?
Ooh.
Seth MacFarlane.
Fuck, no, that's gonna be bad. Have you seen the Family Guy Star Wars?
Yeah, I've seen all of them.
Are they? I've seen bits and pieces of. Are they actually like good movies or not really?
Well, they're not movies. They're just like they're episodes. They're not designed to follow the story. They're designed to be a spoof of it.
But no, but are they full length movies though?
I no, I don't think so. I think they might be slightly longer than a normal episode, but
Oh,
they're
okay.
like they're a Spark Note version of the movie plus the shit that they make fun of.
Okay. Yeah, because I saw some of the clips. I thought they were pretty funny. Um,
Yeah, I mean he's obviously a big sci-fi fan. That's why he's doing all this shit. But yeah, Clone Wars, 7.5 out of 10.
that's it, dude. It's not a 10
I'm just
for
not into
me,
Star
but
Wars like that. But
no, and
that's why.
I'm not really either anymore. But it's just I just think that this show as like and I know it's not 100% objective. I know it's my opinion, but I just think like just as a work of art on its own, it is utterly fantastic.
What is your rating? 10 out of 10?
No, I'd give it a 9. Well, so I don't do decimals. I'm not saying that you're doing it the wrong way. I just like doing things for me on like a 1 to 10.
Fine, I'll give it an 8. You happy?
Yep.
I teetered back and forth between 7.5 and 8, so I will give you that half point
Hey,
since you don't
it
do decimals.
I think
I'll
it
round up for you.
I think it's very deserving of it.
There you go. 8
Um
out of 10. Updated score. Tweet about it now.
right yeah, Jason rated. That's going to be on the community page on my channel. Jason,
Community page.
yeah, where I'm going to say like what do you guys rate Clone Wars?
On the community page, Will is still transphobic.
Right, that or like all of my like I think 90% of my new subscribers are people that just listen to my playlists and they're all like they all just are Spanish speakers. So they're going to be like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about?"
You're splitting your audience already.
Yeah, which I've considered just making a separate channel. But that's the thing. I'm getting so many new subscribers. I'm like, I'll just keep it all on one channel. So maybe but they might think it's interesting and they'll
Who gives a shit? That's the only two things you do. It's not like you're gonna start doing like toy unboxing or some shit.
yeah, like my main things are like it's the podcast, music videos. I make like actual like music of me playing music.
Yeah.
And then I do some other random stuff here and there. So yeah, I guess yeah, it's not the end of the world. Yeah,
Speaking of music, I finally got my classical in.
yeah, I want to try it out. I want to see what you're playing.
It's really good. I think so. Hold on, I'm gonna pause the cough for a second because it's gonna be a big one. So, Cordoba, I think, does a very good job making classical guitars. They definitely punch above their weight in terms of value and price. So, a lot of people kind of shit talk them. Well, I mean, really, they shit talk any guitar at that price point because, like, oh, it's buried in poly, it sounds plasticky, blah, 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 blah. But then they're like, what do you play? Like, oh, mine's a luthier made guitar, you know, 3 to 7 grand. It's like, who the fuck has that kind of money to start out with in the first place?
Right.
Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
But no, I really enjoy it. Standard rosewood back and sides, you know,
Do you
European spruce top. It's great.
do you play this like that Spanish style, or do you just
I'm trying to learn. I've been researching for the past month of different woods, different finishes, different strings, different composers I want to try to learn. I think I'm starting to learn Tarrega,
Tarrega? Yeah.
Francisco Tarrega
Yeah. Oh,
is his name.
he's great. Or it's Tarrega. Sorry.
Tarrega, whatever the fuck. So
Tarrega.
I'm Adelita is the song that I'm learning now.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that one. But are you familiar with? It's called Capricho Árabe. Have you heard of that one?
I might have heard it, but since I'm starting to get into this shit, I don't know that,
Yeah.
especially because they're in another fucking language. So I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, that like Targa is very like classical, right? And you can tell like it sounds a lot more to that of like classical music and stuff like that. And it still is like
Yeah.
Spanish, but then there's like the actual like flamenco stuff. Um which I mean I think like both of them are great, but like that's one I listen to more. Like I love Paco de Lucia.
Yeah.
What?
I said yeah.
Yeah, he is fantastic. Like you know the song "Agua Donde Vas."
Maybe.
Yeah, I need to, or you know Mediterranean Sundance or Sunset or whatever. It was like
Sounds from I don't know.
Travis actually showed it to me. It's like him playing with two other guitarists. It's this trio. It's so well done.
Oh, I did. Yeah, he showed that to me too. I did see that,
That's a
but
great song. Yeah, and then
I've kind of changed my opinion on flamenco. I think because of the technique and the style that you have to do, a lot of it is very percussive. So like you don't give the notes a chance to breathe, and you just hear the clanking of the strings in the wood. So the romantic classical style, or really any slower classical style, you really can hear the wood breathe. So I've fallen more in love with that than the flamenco. Because like I can relate to faster playing by doing metal and all that shit. But in terms of physical sound, I think the romantic Spanish just sounds 10 times better than flamenco to me.
like
It's more dynamic.
you mean romantic Spanish in the like the Targa sense,
Yeah.
or
Obviously, he does a lot of finger rolls, but it's not
right.
as percussive as flamenco.
So like when you're saying flamenco, you mean more like the Gypsy Kings?
Yeah, but like I like their music. I'm saying if it was to be instrumental, you hear just the really just
Okay.
bright, snappy fucking tone of the guitar. But people over exaggerate how much tone you can hear from that. All I really hear is just the scraping of the strings in the wood and a little bit of the high end like grrr of the note. You know what I mean? Like obviously I can hear the chords and the changes, but it's not as good as if somebody was playing a classical style versus a flamenco style.
You mean like the
And I hope
style of music or the style of guitar?
the style of which they play
Oh, okay, yeah,
is
yeah,
what
the
I'm
style of
saying.
music. And
Because I feel like if a classical guitar player wanted to do a finger roll fast or just a fast strumming, but they don't do like the flick flamenco style, I think it would sound better to me.
you mean like the legato, like where you use your two fingers, like the like that.
No, not the legato. Like like how flamenco players strum, they like flick their fingers around on the guitar and it sounds percussive.
Oh yeah, like the when you play the rumba rhythm, like the that.
Yeah,
Yeah, like the way I play it, I don't actually do a lot of that. I don't know
yeah.
if you've
I don't
noticed.
like how that sounds because even on the slower strumming, like where they just do like the flick, you just hear the smack. You don't really hear the note. You hear the high end and the treble of the note, and then the percussiveness of the hit. And I don't think it sounds as good. I've
Right.
kind of changed my opinion on it.
Really? Because I love how it sounds on actual classical guitars. I think it sounds fucking fantastic. And especially when you get that hit in for the rhythm, it just ooh, it sounds really
Yeah,
good.
I mean, it sounds like it has attitude and whatever the fuck. I'm just saying, like, just as the timbre goes, like you don't really hear the note. You hear just the percussiveness and the attitude of the note. I guess I should say the tone of it.
Do you
I'm not
like
as accustomed to that.
do you like mariachi strumming?
Yeah, I do. I think
I
that's sound. I mean,
love
obviously,
that.
like flamenco players are better guitar players, just in terms because that technique is fucking difficult to do. But I think it doesn't sound as good. It's my same kind of thing with people that do the Ingve Malmsteen thing when they just shred through scales or just play notes as fast as possible or just all they do is arpeggios. I don't think it just sounds as good as if somebody's actually doing some sort of fast bouncy rhythm or some kind of tremolo or anything like that. Physically, it just doesn't sound as good.
I guess I'd agree with you. But yeah,
Technically, it's a sloppier way to play if you think about it.
yeah,
Even though it's not sloppy, it just the note is sloppy and you hear just the clang and the banging and all that shit. I don't know, just it doesn't sound as clean to me anymore.
yeah. I've showed you Ben Woods, right?
I think so.
I think he is phenomenal. He's a great guitar player. And I love how he just makes his like own flamenco. I mean, it has covers, but a lot of his stuff is original, which I think is awesome. He is like his technique combined with like his like the rhythm and like his just he is like when you actually see his fingers on the guitar, it's so incredible like what he's doing. Like I sometimes I can't even believe that he's doing it, but it also sounds so cool. And the stuff he's able to do, like I need to show you some of his stuff. I know I've showed you some of his stuff, but not especially the stuff that I've come to like more over time. It's so
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, I'm in a classical mood. I'll definitely check it out. I've been watching a lot of Brandon Acker And the guy Marshall Bernay is like the really famous luthier out of I think Illinois, but they restore a bunch of old Spanish guitars and they also make their own too. So
Nice.
so much that goes into, and I've actually enjoyed that sound. I feel like I'm turning into a wine snob because acoustic guitar obviously is cool because you can hear the differences of the wood, but I feel like the metal of the strings really gets in the way of the note sometimes. Like you hear the metallic clanging of the strings, and that's one thing I've hated about classical is I feel like I couldn't really hear the note. I was only really hearing the rubber bandness of the nylon, just the shitty plasticky sound. But, if you get really good strings and a really decent guitar, you can hear a lot of different note color, more expressive than I think you can on a regular acoustic guitar with steel strings. But the one thing that sucks is that gut strings to me sound really fucking cool. Real gut, but they're expensive.
It's expensive, man.
Yeah, they make synthetic ones, and I think that's the best compromise of the two. But I hate like that shitty, cheap nylon sound. But nice ones, God, the fucking flavor of it is delectable.
Okay. I don't really.
So I feel like I feel like it's my aging journey.
Yeah. Right.
As opposed to getting into classic rock, I'm getting into classical guitar.
Yeah, because like I said, a lot of the stuff. Well, no, I didn't say yet. A lot of stuff I play, you would like be better at it than me. So I think you should definitely give it a shot.
I feel like a baby, man. I'm not gonna lie. This is a totally different style to what I'm used to. So I'm struggling with these simple melodies because I'm not used to chords and playing like notes in this way. Plus, getting the technique of using my fingers really well because I'm so used to using a pick. Because obviously I play with my fingers and I play bass.
Yeah.
But getting a good tone out of a classical guitar with your fingers is difficult, especially because I don't want to grow my fucking nails out and be one of those weirdos. So it's gonna be flesh tone.
Nice.
Plus, sometimes I feel like flesh tone sounds better than nail tone. It's the same kind of premise. It's like the scraping of the nail on a nylon, just like the scraping of the pick on a nylon. To me, the flesh tone sounds better. It's a little bit
Yeah, I agree
more
with you.
intimate, a little warmer.
I don't like the nail tone.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been fucking just going hardcore into research.
Nice.
So, but I got the Cordoba C10, so it was like a $1,100 or $1,200 guitar, but
I gotta try
it really
this.
sounds
Man.
good.
I gotta try it.
And what I'm excited for is because obviously, like guitars back in the day, they were finished with nitrocellulose lacquer, which never really cured, and it really sinks into the wood. So over time, the wood would harden and open up and change flavor. So your guitar would sound better as you age it, pretty much. But these new poly guitars, since it's more of a plasticky finish, it doesn't do that. And sometimes, like experiments of hyper aging, like 50 years, it could be relatively unchanged. But I think different types of poly soak into the wood a little bit. So I'm hoping to see how, after a year, if this guitar opens up and sounds better. But it already sounds pretty good to me. It's just the action was kind of high, so, probably going to change the nut and saddle on it to something cool, or might upgrade the tuners or do something.
Dude, we could make some, like, awesome Spanish song. Like, I strum and then you solo.
Yeah, to me, that's because I've never been a solo person, but to me, like, doing classical melody soloing, like, just, like, the main melody is what I want to go for instead of doing the chords and shit.
No, like, yeah, it's fun to, like, I'm not great at it. I wouldn't be as good as you would do it, but, like, I just, when you actually just feel out the notes and, like, when you, because, even if it's not, like, that sophisticated of, like, a melody you're playing, like, when you could tell you're just actually saying something in the music,
And the nice thing about classical is that they're easier physically to play, so it's not as much, like, they set them up fucking high. I don't know why. I guess it's probably like, it gets better projection. It's just like, not if you can't play it that well.
Right, right.
So, but yeah, I've enjoyed it. I've played some Yamahas, and I feel like the Yamahas play better, but I feel like the Cordobas sound better.
Cordoba, I think that's the best, for classical, I think that's the best brand.
I mean, really, like, in terms of construction in wood, it's about as traditional as you can get as the Spanish style guitars. The only difference being the modern finish, which it does dampen the tone a little bit, but I might even sand off the finish and add, something nice. So we'll see. But to me, out of the box, it sounds fucking great. It doesn't sound plasticky. The notes actually have good timbre to them. So I was surprised. I was generally expecting to just not be impressed, but because some people were like, Oh, this doesn't play like my $5,000 luthier guitar. It's just like Jesus Christ. No shit.
Right. Yeah, it's a different guitar, dude.
It's not a handmade instrument.
Hey, hey.
Fuck, it's a factory guitar. It sounds good for the price.
Right. Oh, have I? Yeah, I remember I asked you about the mariachi. There's some fantastic mariachi music I would love to show you. It just there are a couple of these songs by oh this group called Mariachi Sol de Mexico. They are just like some of these songs were going so hard with the mariachi strumming. I could legitimately like listen to it in the gym
Yeah.
and just like
Some of it go pretty insane.
yeah, and like the singing because you know how like some Mexican songs can be like really cheesy and over the top.
Yeah.
I found some like mariachi songs that were they legitimately gave me goosebumps in how epic they were.
Wow.
Yeah, with like just the passion and the feeling and the melody and like this the singing and also like the lyrics too, the what like what the guy was singing about, and combine that with like the awesome strumming. It really got my blood pumping.
I think if I was in a mariachi band, I'd play bass. I feel like it's very simple and I could rock out to it.
And the bass adds a lot to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to strum because that's what I would love about it is because like in mariachi the guitar is not like the melody instrument. It's more. I mean, it can be, but it's more of just like the rhythm instrument, which I think is really cool. It's
Yeah.
really the trumpets that are playing the melody more.
Which is annoying. Like I feel like I would like mariachi music more if the trumpet was the main melody because I cannot stand how a trumpet sounds. I fucking hate the sound of a trumpet. It just
Dude,
sounds like farts no matter who's playing it.
no, what I'm telling you, some of these songs, when I heard the trumpet, I was like, dude, fuck yes, Mexico, man. Like, because you know,
It's a very Mexican sound. Yeah.
yeah, but you know how, like I said, there's a lot of Mexican stuff that's really cheesy. You know how, like, there's sometimes you hear the trumpets and it's like, okay, I get it, it's Mexican, but then there's sometimes where it's like, oh yeah, it's Mexican, baby. You know,
Yeah.
um,
In traditional mariachi music, I remember because I somebody brought. Have you seen what like the mariachi bass looks like? I don't remember what
yeah,
the actual name of the instrument is called, but it's like a gigantic bowl.
it's called the guitarrón,
Is that what it's called?
and that just literally means like big ass guitar. It's
I
literally
like it.
what
It
it
was
means. Yeah.
somebody came to restore one, and we filled a crack in one, and I was messing around with it. It's fucking cool. I like the sound of it a lot.
Yeah. Oh, and there's this really cool like tiny guitar. It's almost like a ukulele like that they play. I don't know what it's called, but it sounds almost
Isn't a man? It's not a mandolin, is it?
it
I don't
it
think.
might be like it sounds like a harp. It's so pretty. And I there was this one song I was
Oh,
listening to. There were these like I need to just show you this music. This might just be my next recommendation. Like there was so much like cool arpeggios they were doing and there
interesting.
was these yeah these very high notes. It just they were cascading down all these scales with all the awesome strumming. Like it was fantastic. I really need to show you
Hmm.
this. And actually, it just reminded me now because I showed it to my brother. And he was like, "Whoa, this is fantastic." And you're also
Yeah, I'd be down to
Mexican,
check it
dude.
out.
I forgot about that.
Huh?
You're literally Mexican.
Yeah, barely.
No, it's just, bro, it's part of your culture.
I feel like I'm more Castilian than I am Mexican.
No, but a lot of mariachi is actually Spanish.
I thought mariachi was more Mexican based.
No, but Mexican, like it's very Spanish Mexican though,
I
because you
see.
know, like parts of Mexico are more Spanish and parts of Mexico are more indigenous. Like
Yeah,
it's a very, I mean, obviously it has like elements of the other cultures, but it really is a lot of it is just from like Spanish music, like with because it uses like all those European instruments and like the rhythms and stuff like that are very it's very Spanish, because like you can hear mariachi like that. It has that kind of flamenco-y kind of sound. They use a lot of the same chords. They use a lot of those
yeah,
same kind of strumming. I mean, it's different, but like you definitely see it's there, right?
yeah.
Um,
I mean, obviously it's similar to the style, but I feel like the classical music is definitely more the Spanish influence than the Mexican stuff. Because I don't even know like Mexican classical music what that would be
I
besides
don't
mariachi.
I don't know. I guess they do. I can imagine they would do flamenco stuff because they still there's still a lot of Spanish cultural things that they do in Mexico. I know they bullfight there. I would love to see that.
Yeah, me too. See a bullfight.
I know a lot of people are sensitive about that, and I understand why people think that it is wrong to kill an animal for sport. Like I get that, but
Yeah, I
I
mean,
just think it's badass. I'm not
I feel like if there's danger to the human too, it's fair.
right because it's not like we're killing like a some innocent. I mean, I'm not saying bulls are like guilty, but like it's not like we're killing some helpless animal just for fun. Like
Yeah, it's like
it's not like we're
if you get killed by a bull trying to do this, fair game.
right, and that's what makes it so entertaining. Or I guess it would be entertaining because I've never seen it, but like um yeah, because it's not like we're going killing like a beaver or something. I don't know. Like that is just because
Yeah,
there's no challenge. But like if you're fighting a bull, that is cool, man. Also, I think
it'd be funny to play
they
in a band when you're having a bullfight.
yeah like you and I are playing like the Malagueña like the dun 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 dun.
Yeah, it'd be pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie, dude. It's kind of cool because the obviously because like my Spanish, if I had a grandfather instead of a grandmother, my Spanish surname would be Cordova.
Oh
So obviously
yeah,
it's a California. They're not a Spanish company. They're a California company that just is trying to do, I think, guitars in the Spanish style similar to that region of Spain. So it's kind of cool
yeah, man.
playing on one of those because I feel like it's somewhat part of my history, I guess,
It's
even though it's not
yeah,
from Spain.
Spanish, bro.
Because I feel like back in the day, like your surname was also tantamount sometimes to the city or the region that you're from.
Yeah,
So because I
long
know,
ago, yeah, or
because like
your
Cordova and
occupation.
Cordoba, the B and the V, like they're interchangeable. So I think like the region was obviously Cordoba,
Yeah, yeah. No, that you're right. Yeah.
but so that's a cool tidbit. So I feel like in a weird way, because I've never been like this as a person, but just subconsciously, I feel like it's in my roots somewhere.
Yeah, that's when I realized all the Jewish stuff. Because like, well, I remember my friend asked me. I'm not gonna reveal this information on the podcast, but he was asking me. So he's like, "How much money is like left over?" So like, you make this much. How much is left over in your account every month? And I'm like, after all of my expenses and everything and taxes. And he's like, "Yes, about this much." And he's like, "So you don't spend that much money, dude?" And I'm like, "I am kind of Jewish."
You probably spend more money with our shit buying your fucking guitar stuff.
No, I mean I buy stuff from you guys like every couple months.
Yeah, but just the amount of dollar amounts that I've saw, like,
Well,
what do
from
you have? You
that,
have
yeah,
it.
yeah,
You have two classical guitars. You have one electric guitar. You have one amp, and then you have a couple pedals, right?
yeah. I have no, I don't have any pedals. I have a.
I thought you have a looper.
Oh, does that count as a pedal?
Yes, it's a fucking pedal.
Oh, well, I
It's
don't
literally
know.
in the shape of a pedal, William.
I don't know what a pedal looks like.
Literally what you have. It's a fucking rectangle.
All right, all
You ever see a
right.
gas pedal? It's a fucking rectangle.
Yeah, that's true.
And then the brake pedal is a sideways rectangle.
Oh yeah,
They're all pedals, bro.
yeah. Well, I think this was a really good podcast. I need to go to sleep actually.
Yeah, and I'm fucking getting progressively sicker as the night goes on because for some reason nighttime is my time. My body goes fuck you,
Yeah.
so I'm coughing every second.
So the point is that Jason really liked Clone Wars, and he was very.
It was better than I was expecting. I'm not gonna
Yeah, I don't know what kind of expectation you had going in.
lie.
Like what? Like did you think anything? I don't know. Like
I thought that it was gonna be all right, but I wasn't gonna,
yeah, you were like,
get anything from
Will,
it.
what are you like raving about? But like, can you?
Well, like I didn't think it was gonna be bad because you were praising it that well. There had to be something special to it. I just didn't think I'd enjoy it as much as I did.
So you're saying that I have a good taste in entertainment, and that you trusted my judgment when it came to this.
I think so, especially
Thank you,
because
thank you.
we do this all the fucking time, so we can kind of get a sense of what each other would enjoy.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess like yeah, because there's very few things that you showed me where I didn't particularly like, besides like the Atlas, the Novus by the Summit, or sorry, the Migration by the Summit. That was the only thing where I was like, eh. Other than that, like, there's nothing you've showed me where I was like, okay, Jason, this is like genuinely bad.
I don't think. I mean,
Like,
obviously, I have some guilty pleasures that I
right,
enjoy, but
or like,
for the most part, yeah,
yeah, like genuinely bad, or like just all right, or like average.
yeah,
You know, because average is like
right,
the worst that you could get. Because then you're just forgettable.
correct, yeah.
Because you want to be memorable on either the top or bottom of the spectrum. You want to be a 10 or a 1. If you're 5, no one's going to see you.
It's like it takes effort to strive for mediocrity too, so you might as well finish the remainder to make it excellent.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Um so, I'm like, do I want the mariachi music or do I want another movie? I don't know. I'll coin toss it.
Coin tosser, bro.
Yeah, but then I'm like, okay, do I want to recommend all of the songs on that album that had that? I like a couple of the other songs, but not the whole album necessarily
Just do the like I do. Just do the compilation of your songs that you like.
of mariachi songs.
Yeah.
That would work. Or yeah, because I was thinking about because that's the thing. Like that's why I think the Mark Anthony recommendation didn't really work as well because like you weren't really immersed. Like you're not immersed in the Latin music like I am. Like I've gone down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I have to hear like the best songs of it to get into it.
Yeah, like, and like
I don't want to hear Latin filler.
right, and like right, and like I can't just like recommend like an one album from like an artist. Like I need to be like, okay, this is like this genre, right?
Right.
Yeah, because like I want to get you into salsa, but then I'm like, So like what probably gonna do is like I'm gonna show you like the what's called salsa dura, which is like hard salsa, right? Because it's like metal and rock where you got the levels of like how hard it goes, and
Yeah.
then you got like the soft you got the romantic salsa, you got the sad boy salsa, you got and like rap, you got like the sad boy rap, and then you got like they kind of like f you like guns blazing rap and all that stuff. It's like they got all that stuff in salsa, and they got the
Yeah.
some of it can really be like goosebump inducing, like with the mariachi I was talking about, where I'm like, yeah, I could listen to this in the gym with all their minor keys and like the rhythm and stuff. Like it's very very good music. And I think if we all listened to salsa and we stopped listening to shitty rap music, our society would be a lot better.
And they'd be better dancers too.
Oh yeah, exactly. Um,
All of us. Even the whiteys.
yeah, just imagine like just like the Karenist Karen like just dancing salsa.
Oh fuck.
Man, I killed you.
I was coughing mid laugh.
No,
Oh shit.
I finally made you sick because like you didn't really cough the whole episode until now.
Yeah, because I'm getting tired of turning the mic on enough.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
I'm growing weary.
All right, well, I think this is a good place to end. Thank you all for listening. This was a fun episode. Can't wait to keep doing the podcast for you guys. Episode 30 is the next one. Nice. Keep breaking into the
Dirty 30.
yeah, dude. When we hit 50, we got to do something. I don't know, but like we got to do something. Or actually,
We've gained 100 subscribers. Life is good.
yeah, dude. Oh wait, no. Episode No, but we've gained more than that. I got like
I know, I'm
dude,
being facetious.
episode 27 got 136 views. That's
Holy shit, bro.
no, but the other ones are going up too. Like I see the other one got like no, but like the average views at one point was like 12.
You're going to be up at 2 a.m. checking analytics.
Oh, dude, that's like everyone's gone down that rabbit hole. Whereas like yeah, the last one we got is 136 views, 69 views on 28. Nice.
Nice.
So I'm trying to get it up for the next one. And if anyone wants to comment recommendations of what you'd like to hear us talk about, that'd be excellent. Because I'd like to actually have a community and it's not just like Jason and I. And I guess, if we suck, we
We're
suck.
speaking into the void.
Right, like there's nothing we can really do. But well, hopefully whoever
I
is
feel like if
listening
we
can-
swear less and we don't talk about controversial information, we wouldn't be shadow blacklisted by the algorithm.
Yeah. Yeah, that does not do us justice.
So it's our choice of content that also plays a part too.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Buenas noches.
Nachos de buenos.
Bueno.
Soy yo.
Bueno.